land development is just, it's a high barrier to entry to really break into this space. And I say that, and I just want to kind of explain the reasoning why, and also um, just mention that if you're interested in learning land development, to just be very careful of um, whose guidance you're following, and just don't be so quick to pay somebody money to kind of learn the information. I would really advise, before you spend your hard-earned money purchasing a course or a mentorship from somebody, that you actually do some solid due diligence on them, because I've heard it probably 6 or 7 times now, that there's people that are purchasing courses and spending serious money, 3, 4, $5,000 for these mentorship programs to learn land development, and really they're not learning anything. They're just getting a generic template from ChatGPT that kind of provides basic terminology and somewhat of the process of the entitlements and stuff like that. And development is a lot more complicated than just a printout, that somebody used a prompt to generate on ChatGPT or some other AI platform. Like I said, development is very high barrier to entry industry. First of all, you have to be able to either close on the land or put up enough escrow to secure the land for a long period of time, whether that's a 12 or 18-month closing timeline. And then in addition to that, you also have to have the capital available to put up the money for the soft costs, which are engineering, surveys, whether that be geotechnical survey, environmental, phase one, just basic due diligence, things like that. And you can't finance these things. So if you're interested in possibly developing a property, you have to have a serious amount of cash that you're not only willing to spend, but you have to feel comfortable knowing that that's a sunk cost. So there are certain instances where you might invest 30, 40, 50 grand just trying to determine if it's feasible to even develop the property. And there's always a risk that you have to walk away from the deal because there may be some underlying issues with the property. And if the property's clear, and there aren't any serious challenges and you can develop it, you have to understand that that's an expense that you have to really be willing to sit on for a long period of time, whether that's 12 or 18 or 24 months before you can even get that property fully entitled, engineered, and approved. And that's just the basic cost of like some preliminary due diligence stuff. Once you start getting into real engineering past the PSP, and you're getting into the weeds of stormwater, drainage, everything like that, landscaping, that's expensive. That could easily be, 6 figures, $150,000, $200,000 just for, the engineering plans. And even when you're working through that process, there's no guarantee that there's going to be an approval. There's always some sort of uncertainty if you have to go in front of the Board of County Commissioners, so development has a lot of different nuances, and it's very easy to make it seem like you can just hop into the development industry with little to no money and be very successful. I think that's extremely misleading. It's a misrepresentation of the industry, and I just wanted to put that out there because I see that people are trying to kind of push development similarly to how they push wholesaling, and wholesaling is totally different. Wholesaling is a very low barrier to entry industry. You're really competing with, kids that just graduated high school last year. All they're doing is pulling a list from PropStream or PropWire, cold calling people are putting out bandit signs, sending out postcards, direct mail, we buy houses cash, and tying up properties under contract. A lot of times for little to no money, putting $0 escrow on a contract, or $500 or $1,000 escrow on the contract, and more often than not even depositing that money in the escrow account. And for development, it's just very, very different. You have to really pay to play in this space. And just wanted to put that out there, that if you are interested in pursuing development, not to fall into that trap that you can hop into this space without having the capital, without having, the experience. It's very difficult to really learn this game. You have to be put in a position where you're working with people that have really seen it through, from A to Z. And, if you have the opportunity to work with a developer where you can learn, take that as a blessing, because the tuition in this space is very high. So I know this is a rant, but I just really wanted to put out this message. I know for the most part, everything online is like super scripted. Nobody's really being like authentic and genuine. We're just putting out, clips that we think is going to be engaging for people to listen to and, not scroll past. But if you are listening to this and you're interested in getting into land development, I would say your best bet is to find somebody who's actively doing it and figure out how you can, add value to them, be an asset for them, and just put yourself out there to be helpful, and really with no expectation of earning anything, just so that you can get that free education and get a seat in the room to